Have you ever faced a challenge so big it felt like you were staring down a giant? A task so tough that everyone around you was saying, "It's impossible?" The Bible tells the story of a man who did just that, and his incredible faith didn't just change his own destiny, it secured a promise that would echo for generations. This is the story of Caleb, the man who followed God with his whole he. Picture this: an entire nation, just freed from centuries of slavery, is standing on the edge of a brand new beginning. That was the reality for the Israelites, camped right at the border of Canaan, the land God had promised them. But standing between them and their destiny was a land filled with fortified cities and terrifying warriors. To figure out what they were up against, their leader, Moses, made a big call. He chose 12 men, one leader from each of Israel's 12 tribes, for a covert mission. Their job? To spy on the promised land and report back. Among them was a man named Caleb, from the powerful tribe of Judah. For 40 days, he and Joshua, along with the other 10 leaders, ventured into the unknown, where every step was a mix of thrill and danger. They had to check out the people, the defenses, and the resources. The fate of their entire nation was riding on what they found. When the 12 spies got back, the entire camp of Israel was buzzing. The men came back with proof that the land was unbelievably rich. They carried a single cluster of grapes so huge it took 2 men to haul it on a pole, along with pomegranates and figs. They confirmed it: the land was truly flowing with milk and honey. But then, the mood completely flipped. 10 of the spies started painting a picture of pure terror. They talked about massive, walled cities and powerful armies. They described giants, the descendants of Anak, who were so tall that the spies felt like grasshoppers next to them. Their report was a virus of fear that spread like wildfire, turning everyone's hope into dread. But as the whispers of despair turned into a full-blown rebellion, one voice cut through the noise. It was Caleb. He quieted the crowd and made a declaration that went against the overwhelming tide of fear. "We should go up and take possession of the land," he boomed, his voice ringing with a conviction the others just didn't have, "for we can certainly do it." Caleb saw the same giants and the same walls as the other spies. But he saw it all through a different lens, the lens of faith. While the others saw obstacles they couldn't possibly overcome, Caleb saw an opportunity for God to show his power. He and Joshua stood together, tearing their clothes in distress over the people's unbelief. They pleaded, "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land. Only do not rebel against the Lord. And do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them." But it was no use. The crowd, now a mob, even threatened to stone them. The people's reaction wasn't just fear, it was a flat-out rejection of God's promise. They had seen his power firsthand in Egypt and at the Red Sea, but they still chose to believe a bad report over the word of their Creator. And their rebellion had a serious consequence. God declared that this entire generation of doubters would never see the promised land. For 40 years, 1 year for each day the spies were in Canaan, they would wander the wilderness until everyone 20 years or older had died. Their journey to a new home had just turned into a death march. But right in the middle of this sweeping judgment, God made an exception for 2 men. He singled out Caleb with a specific, personal promise, saying, "But because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it." The Bible really highlights this different spirit in Caleb. It was a spirit of loyalty, courage, and a stubborn trust that God would deliver on his promises. While a whole generation was condemned for their lack of faith, Caleb's total devotion secured his future. He and Joshua would be the ones to survive the wilderness and finally enter the land God had sworn to give them. 45 long years went by. The generation of doubters was gone, and a new generation, led by Joshua, had finally crossed the Jordan River and started to conquer Canaan. As they began dividing up the new territory, Caleb, now an old man, stepped forward. He approached his old friend Joshua, not looking tired from his 85 years, but with the same fire he'd had all along, fueled by a promise that had never faded. "I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out," Caleb declared. "My strength for battle and for daily tasks is now as it was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me." And what was this hill country he wanted? It was Hebron, the heartland of the giants, the place where the Anakim had terrified his fellow spies decades ago. Caleb didn't ask for an easy retirement spot, he asked for the mountain where the giants lived, completely confident that God would be with him to drive them out, just like he said he would. Joshua blessed him and gave him the land. And Caleb, the defiant spy who became a victorious leader, did exactly what he promised. He drove the giants out of Hebron and claimed the land for his family, becoming a living monument to God's faithfulness and the power of one man's unshakable trust. Caleb's story is a powerful reminder of what a life of complete trust in God looks like. He faced the same fears and the same giants as everyone else, but he made a choice to focus on the size of his God, not the size of his problems. His life shows us that having a different spirit, one of courage, loyalty, and wholehearted faith, is what helps us defeat the giants in our own lives. He refused to be swept away by the majority's fear and held on to God's promise for 45 years, proving that you're never too old to fulfill God's purpose. His legacy is one of perseverance and the absolute certainty that God rewards those who follow him all the way. So, what giants are you facing? How can Caleb's story inspire you to trust in God's promises, no matter how long it takes or how scary the challenge looks? If this story inspired you, please subscribe for more incredible stories from the Bible, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how Caleb's faith encourages you.